is should abused men or women who kill be given a more lenient sentence?
That's because in 2015 the law was changed. A new law came in, the Serious Crime Act, and it made psychological manipulation or coercive control a form of domestic abuse. And obviously she was convicted before that, but now they're claiming that as her defence.
And sadly, Brenda, you have personal experience of this kind of control that we're reading about here.
Yeah. I mean, I had an ex who physically and mentally abused me. And at the time, I was in the relationship and I was emotionally invested. So I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. I didn't think that I was being treated any badly. But it's one of these things where if somebody keeps telling you, you look ugly, or you'll never succeed, or you'll never get anywhere, eventually you start believing it. And I started believing that.
And was it a slow process?
It was a slow process. I had my best friend, my girlfriend, she was always saying, Brenda, what are you doing? You need to get out of this. But I was, like I said, I was emotionally invested, so I never thought that it was as bad as what it seemed on the outside when I'm speaking to my friend and she's trying to wake me up to my senses.
Did you think that you were at fault? Because that's a key part of
I
all
always
this.
blame myself and thought, what did I do wrong? And that is, again, because somebody told me that I've done something wrong. And so I ended up believing that. And so I do believe that it's more, rather than focusing on, you know, it's very sad, the outcome of the murder, but rather than focusing on that, I think there needs to be more support given to people like myself who are going through an emotional, terrifying experience like that and are scared to say something for fear of looking weak yourself.
How do you get that help? Because, I mean, Janet's talked before about you were in a relationship that became
People were
violent.
incredulous when I said on this show I was in a relationship with someone who, out of the blue, would smash up the house or threaten to throw paint all over, you know, stuff that I really valued, and the police were called and they said the best thing was for me to leave my own home. And at the time, all my friends said this person was horrific. But I couldn't... I relate completely to what Brenda's saying, that you can't see that. You are brainwashed. And also, you don't want to admit that you've made a big mistake.
Yeah, because obviously I didn't tell my family about everything that was going on. I was embarrassed, I was ashamed. And also, I didn't want my family then to get involved and make matters worse.
So then, was there, in this relationship, if we're comparing to this case here, was there ever any point where you thought, I'm going to need to defend myself?
I can 100% empathise and see exactly where she came from at certain points that were in that relationship.
So would there have been a time, if you ever felt to the point where it's your life or theirs, you know, I often think I think I'd be able to control myself either if it was...
I was in that situation, but I think, you know, for me, I had to think about my children, and I have children and I don't want to leave my children. So if it comes down to you've got 2 children there, for example, that are in your home, and there's somebody that's giving you physical and psychological abuse, you think about, OK, I always put my children first. That's it. So it's either them or me, and it's not going to be me because I'm here to look after my children.
So you could imagine in a situation, it's you against them, and you could...
I can see how easily...
You could see how you could kill.
It could, in a split second, it just takes that split second.
I think, looking at this case, without going into too much detail, I do think the fact that after the murder had happened, she left a note. I think we could argue that she was of unsound mind because it had gone on for so long.
She was planning to kill the next day. She took her son to work and she was planning to kill herself. She had to be talked down.
She was at Beachy Head. They had to talk her out of killing herself.
This was not a woman who was, you know, being rational, probably.
Playing devil's advocate, because you know how I feel about this, but if we were to say that somebody like that wasn't of sane mind, wouldn't you agree that anybody who murders somebody isn't of sound mind?
No.
No.
No, I wouldn't, because I think that some killings are premeditated, some killers are narcissistic psychopaths, there are serial killers who conform to a pattern. Well, you can argue whether they're sane or insane, and some serial killers go to places like Broadmoor, and some just get life sentences in a normal custodial jail. But I think that you have to bring in the evidence from psychologists and psychiatrists and examine each case on its merits. And I think looking at the new law about controlling, whether people have been subjected to psychological abuse, I think in each case like this, you need experts to come to a conclusion. And that's why I'm glad that in court today, a judge and not a jury is hearing this, because we've got to take all the emotion out of it, and a judge has got to consider this because it is a groundbreaking ruling.
Well, it says it's
and
a
it will
landmark
affect,
case,
yes,
isn't
and
it?
it
So
will
if he
affect
rules,
a lot of cases.
He rules in her
forward.
favour and reduces that appeal, her conviction to manslaughter. That would open up other cases that might come to appeal.
Yeah, but never forget the number of women who kill their partners in this country is very, very small. And we've just got to keep that in mind. What drives a woman to do such a serious thing is, very big.
Also in this, you have to think about the psychological effect that it's having on the children as well. They're making a plea, can we have our mum back? And you've got to weigh everything up.
They've basically backed up everything she said about their father's behaviour towards her. But like we said, we'll that case started today, continues tomorrow, saying there probably won't be a final judgment from the judge until the 28th, so we will keep our eye on that. Thank you very much for being so honest on your first day with us.